Hi, this is Mary Beth Maida. I live at 84 Branch Avenue, and thank you for giving me this time to speak. I want to address the business administrator's open letter to the borough website and also the entire process of the legislating in our town. I became aware of the budget issues a few weeks ago when I started to look around on the website, and it's become very clear to me that government in Red Bank is broken. I think it began 2 years ago when 5 council members voted to approve an ordinance ceding vast budget management and oversight responsibilities, the essence of our council's job, to the newly named administrator, Mr. Z. I know that Michael Ballard abstained on this vote. I know 2 Republicans and 3 Democrats voted yes, but I don't think they realized that they had legislated away their governing authority. I spoke with Z about this on Monday. He called me to object to that email that I had mentioned, that I had sent to my neighbors warning them about these tax hikes, which I said were going to be around 3.5%, and service caps, which I know are not on the agenda tonight, but we all know you're doing a garbage survey, so this is obviously something you're thinking about. Mr. Z, I insisted that I was wrong in my claims. He demanded to know where I got my information. And I want to make it clear, he said such awful things about Councilman Ballard during this phone call with me on Monday that as soon as I hung up, I called Borough Hall because I wanted to file a human resources complaint. And that's when I found out that we don't have a human resources manager in Red Bank. Z fired her, apparently, and he took over her duties. So now if you want to report anything about Z's behavior, you really have nowhere to turn. He also took over the job of planning and zoning officer when that man retired, and he absorbed the role of the IT manager when that man quit. My understanding is rather than continue to work with what he considered to be hostile conditions, although I can't confirm that. My understanding is that now Mr. Z holds 6 different titles in Red Bank, including HR manager, planning and zoning officer, IT manager, contract negotiator, and redevelopment executive. And I just have to comment, we all thought Stanley Sickles had too many jobs. But the most disturbing thing about this whole 2-year trend to me is that while I'm personal friends with Councilman Zipprich, and I did speak with him about this ordinance once I learned of it from Mr. Z, and he told me that he has come to learn that this vote of consolidating power was probably a mistake, a failure. But Councilwoman Horgan, Councilman Ingstrom, Councilman Jacine, and Councilwoman Trigiano don't seem to see anything wrong with relinquishing all of their legislative authority given to them by the voters. Seems to me, and we can see it tonight, they just do whatever they're told. Listen to the things that these people, our council people, accused me of in emails and phone calls right after Z and I hung up the phone. Kathy Horgan said that if I didn't go along with Z, I was a dupe who was hurting Red Bank. She also spent a portion of last night calling some of my neighbors to disparage me as a troublemaker and to accuse me of being somehow incompetent. And you did, Kath. Eric Ingstrom accused me of spreading false information and panic and of hurting the party. He means the Democrats, even though we all know this isn't a partisan issue. This is a town issue. Kate just basically accused me of being a liar, but she made certain to CC Z on the mail. And Hasm asserted my entire email was fake news, and he spent at least part of today spreading more falsehoods about me talking to government leakers. He also alleged, in light of my demand for good government, that I must have turned into a Republican. I mean, really. Only Councilman Zipprich and Ballard pledged in their responses to me, because we have to contact them individually. We can't contact them as a group, but they can't reply. But they pledged to me that they would listen to the voices of the people and vote to keep taxes low and our critical services intact. I know it seems crazy, but I don't think this is funny. 4 of our council people are behaving in what I believe to be abhorrent and unethical ways towards the residents, specifically me, because they think I'm a whistleblower. And they're wrong in their assertions, and so is Mr. Z. In the screed he published last night on the borough, he attacked the free press, private citizens who question his authority, and spent essentially 3 pages, 1,300 words, asserting a bunch of nonsense about fake news. But here's the thing, he couldn't point to one published thing about the budget that wasn't true. Every story that I've read about this budget has been completely factual. Until the meeting started, my understanding was that Z was planning a hefty tax hike. If you look at the Red Bank Green, it was supposed to be 5.4%. Z has ignored the finance committee. He admitted it himself at tonight's meeting. And it is a lie to say that the borough isn't contemplating a cut in our trash collection. They are, whether or not they want to admit it. And Z didn't deny any of this in his letter last night. He couldn't. The Post was disingenuous. And now here we are with a business administrator who's eager to raise taxes and cut services, a business administrator who is actively muzzling borough employees, and I have emails to prove this, and he's creating a hostile work environment at the Borough Hall and piling layer upon layer of opacity on our town government. And while he does this, the 4 council people who always vote with him, you might want to call them the Z-Pack, they all smile and take selfies without their masks on Broad Street. And they seem to congratulate themselves for abdicating their responsibilities to decisions and violating their oaths of office. This has got to end. In my opinion, and I hope the residents will agree with me, I believe the council must repeal the executive ordinance, giving Z unlimited power, and it should happen immediately. The council must exercise their legislative oversight and reclaim their responsibility for running this town. And if that's too much for council people, then they need to sit down. I didn't go over 5 minutes yet, I'm watching. Remember this, my neighbors and friends. Mr. Z works for us. He's paid with our tax dollars and he serves at our pleasure. I believe, Mayor, that you need to put the council back in order. You need to stop these outrageous personal attacks on the press, on private citizens, and on borough employees, and on loyally and ethically serving council members. Councilman Zipprich and Councilman Ballard, I really want to thank you for honoring your oaths to your office and doing your job as elected officials. Ed and JP, again, you know my heart is broken for you. You're my dearest friends. Please know I am very proud to support you, Ed, and I am very proud to support you, Michael, in this upcoming election. But as for the other 4 remaining members, and I've been a Democrat for 42 voting years, just so we're clear. I've been voting, November will be my 42nd year of voting. I've only ever voted for Democrats because that's what I believe in, that's my platform. But remember this, council people, you answer to the voters who put you in office. And if you want to vote with Z because you're too weak to be independent, go ahead. You want to ignore and attack people who disagree with you, go ahead. You want to cut services, disparage the press, disparage community members, disparage our leaders, go ahead, see what that gets you. We, the residents of this town, want this broken government repaired now. And so I want to say thank you, council members, for allowing Michael and Ed to say no to huge tax hikes. I want to ask all of you, say no to reduced garbage collection. And most importantly, repeal this executive order that puts way too much power in one person's hands and just creates so much lack of transparency with this council. It is not correct. It is not right. It's not what we want. In other words, all I'm saying is do your job, Mayor and Council. Rein in the rogue administrator. And if you don't want to do it, please just go home. Thank you.
Thank you. Next. Anybody else?
Yes, Z, you unmuted me. Can I talk?
Yeah, go ahead.
Suzanne Viscomi, 25 Cedar Street. You know, it's the public's duty and right to ask questions. And it's also the responsibility not to just get answers from Z, but from all of you guys publicly and on the record. And it's sad to see this video with Z making faces and smirks and laughing at another resident talking. You know, everybody has the right to speak and have respect, not making faces on the other council members. I could give you examples, rolling your eyes when you're not happy with what we're saying, but it's our responsibility to question. And I wish you people would answer us directly, give us answers in the spot. And if they do follow up on the record to everybody, because you tout transparency all the time and it's not what we got. We don't get transparency. It's all, you hear all rumors this and people talking this and getting things out of context. And that's what blows up. And that's where we are at this point in this town, because my phone's blown up for the last 48 hours. And I just hope, Z, you learn a little respect when people ask questions. Just, you know, that's all.
Thank you, Mrs. Viscomi. Anybody else?
Mayor, I believe that's it.
I know that the agenda said that there's an executive session for contract negotiations with the Board of Education. Do we have to act upon that tonight, or can that be deferred?
No, Mayor, it does require, my understanding is it does require some guidance from you before the end of this month, so the Board of Education can take further.
But no, my point is, are we going to be making a final decision and a decision on whatever we're talking about tonight, or are we going to just confer and then vote on it at the next council meeting?
No, there's no formal vote that will be taken either now or later, I believe, but there will be discussion and direction that should be given this evening.
That's fine. Okay, but we're not taking formal action.
No.
All right, so is there a motion to adjourn to executive session to discuss contract negotiations, but no formal action will be taken?
Motion.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Aye.
we're adjourned to executive session. Thank you.
Do we have to hang up and then come back?
Yes, please.